Hello, you're listening to WRKE 100.3 LPFM, Salem, streaming live online at WRKE.org, and on the TuneIn app, just search for WRKE. So this is the Heidrich Motivational Hour, and what I wanted to do first before we get started was promote some of my social media accounts for the purpose of empowerment. And under Instagram, you'll find me under my name, Anakin Heidrich, ANAKYN HEIDRICH, and the coolest pet in town. And then under Facebook, you'll also find me under my name, Anakin Heidrich, ANAKYN HEIDRICH. On YouTube, you'll find me under the coolest pet in town, and you'll find my certain content for related to cats, and soon enough under this type of content, under this kind of motivational content too. I also doing some thinking over the week, and what I wanted to do was say, if there was a story and a struggle that you wanted to share and talk about how you overcame it, or if you're still living that struggle and you feel like others need to hear that, then you can send your stories through the social media pages that I just mentioned, and just make sure that you understand that your stories will be on the air and remain on the audio files when finished. The sender who shares their story will assume this risk. You can reach me by commenting your stories on my post online. Like I said, and I will mention this again at the end of the show, just so if you missed me again, or if you missed me now, you can catch me at the end to hear this. You can also be a co-host on this show and other WRKE shows if you just fill out the forms, and you have to reach radio@roanoke.edu to find more information. But anyways, visit the social media pages to comment your story, and I can guarantee you that the story will be told sooner or later. There's no chances I'm not leaving anyone's out. Everybody's story, in my opinion, is worthy of being told. And I also encourage you to spread the word about the show. I want to see what everybody's. I want to see what everybody thinks. See what everybody thinks can be done better. What seems to be working well. I know my rhyming seems to work. My brother's told me plenty of times, so there's that. But another thing I want to do is, and during the first two episodes, I wanted to acknowledge and thank the viewers for all the support so far, especially to Stephanie, one of my coworkers from Arizona, my boss Sheila. I wanted to thank my father in Colorado. I wanted to thank my mama and Jay down here in Virginia. I wanted to thank my brothers who were listening, and I wanted to thank Miss Parkins, Kelly Shushock, for all being happy listeners, and Rebecca Ross, one of the bus drivers I spoke to on the way home back when I was still a commuter at this college, and to know that people were still listening. And I was getting all these text messages, saying that I've already made such a difference and encouraged them to detoxify their lives. That really means something with me, and honestly, that only fuels the fire for me to keep going further. So please, thank you for listening and staying with me this far. My apologies for being out last week. I fell sick. It was not a pretty time, as you can imagine. I was just, nothing that you would want to deal with. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'm going to get started with this little affirmation I try to tell myself every day when I can. And you might have heard this before, maybe on my first recording. Anyways, it's by Burton Braley, and I heard it on one of Les Brown's most powerful speeches called "If It's Not Over Until I Win," back from 1991 or 92, I believe. I really encourage you to go on YouTube and watch some of his speeches, along with several other motivational speakers. They've given me a wealth of knowledge, and I think they would do the same for you. Anyways, here it is by Burton Braley. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, if you gladly sweat for it, and fret for it, and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold, poverty, famine, nor gout, sickness, nor pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. So I don't know, there's just something powerful about that really, gets me pumped up, gets me in the mood, because these are the lengths that we all have to go through. These are the hoops that we all have to flip through. If we want something bad enough, we all have to be willing to flip through the hoops and the challenges and the hard times. You're sitting there angry because your coach wants you to practice more because he's not going to let you take any shortcuts. But it's like, if you think this was hard, just wait until you make it to the pros. Eric Thomas always said, why are you complaining? You're angry because your coach wants you to practice more, but he's not going to let you take shortcuts because there's no shortcuts on the next level, and he's not going to let you bail out on the thing that you said you wanted bad enough. Even if you're not on the team, even if you're not a part of the group, you still act as if you are. Even if you weren't on the team, you practice for the game as if you were. Even if you're not a part of the club, you still go out there and you still work on what you're doing and do what you want to do as if you were a part of that group. Sometimes you have to pretend. Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. But no, if nobody wants to talk to you, you still talk. Like, Les Brown said he used to talk to his plants, but no one would listen to him. So it's like, if nobody wants to talk to you, then you find a way to talk to someone. You talk to yourself if no one will listen to you. Talk to your plants if no one will listen to you. Because, believe me, no matter what comes of it, that's what you were put on this earth to do. Whatever you were put on here to do. Les Brown believed he was supposed to connect with people, but initially believed he was supposed to be a disc jockey. Kind of similar to what I'm doing. And then he realized he had more in him to become like a trainer and a coach and a sales and, become one of the biggest motivational speakers around. So, even if they won't invite you down there to speak for them, you still start practicing, you still keep going, because just because your time hasn't come down doesn't mean your time will not come later. I've had to learn this many times. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, next month, next year, but it will come. And let me tell you, the longer it is and the harder it is, the sweeter it is. I used to be told the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. And let me tell you, it can be pretty sweet. I've lived it, I've experienced it. Anyways, so when I was in one of my little Aspire programs on one of those Wednesdays here at this college, we were doing a session on, what was it? I'm trying to remember. Sorry. Social skills. And, we kind of talked about, the different, how the body language conveys what we do and what we think and what we feel. And this was a little unrelated to what we were going over, but this quote really stuck to me. It was like an old 19th and 20th century saying. And the saying was, do the best you can and can the rest. And what that means is, sometimes in a situation when you don't know everything you need to do, or you don't know everything there is to know, sometimes all you can do is do the best you can and let the rest take care of itself. Sometimes you weren't meant to figure out the rest, or you weren't meant to figure out everything else. That time will figure out the time for you'll always have the time to improve later. You'll always know you'll always have the chance to know better, and you'll always have the chance to do better. If you don't know better now, it's fine, but if you know better later, do better. Don't do the best you can the rest. One of my listeners, Hal Reynolds, who I'm proud to know, said when he was listening, his wife had a saying for me, and I like to give them the credit of allowing me to put this quote on the air. And this quote is, "Worrying does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows, it empties today of its strengths." Like I said, worrying does nothing but overthinking, and overthinking just, leads to disaster. It may be useful in certain times. There are certain times where, like I said, fear, those false expectations appearing real, are acceptable. But if you let it manifest like anger or sadness or guilt, then it's gonna deplete your energy. It's gonna deplete your strengths. And I had to learn that the hard way for quite a while, actually, for months and months. I also believed in the spoon theory about, you only had so many spoons of energy, and, there's only so much, and all the worrying and stress takes away this many spoons, and, you wake up with all your spoons out for the day, and you just have nothing in you. You don't even want to get out of bed. So, again, worrying does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows. It empties today of its strength. And Bianca, one of my other listeners, just recently told me, she loved what I said about, being around people who make you feel alone is worse than actually being alone. And she said, what she said and reinterpreted it in her own way was, don't let yourself hang around psychological vampires. So pretty much don't be around people who don't see your worth and don't see it for you. Don't, like Robin Williams said, he said, I'd rather be alone than, be around people who make me lonely. So, if they can't see it, if they can't see something you want for themselves, then how are they supposed to see it for you? Their simple-mindedness is not your responsibility. They tell you what you're doing is too complex. You say, I didn't do all this to be simple. They tell you what you're doing is too ambitious. You say, I think the real problem in this world is there's a lack of ambition to do better. So, we don't, like Bianca said, don't hang around psychological vampires, as she has put it. I love it. One of the other speakers I started listening to recently was from Eric Thomas. He's nicknamed E.T. One of his little sayings was, it's not the cards you were dealt, it's how you play them. He came up was pretty rough too. He never knew his father. His mother was a teenage mom. He grew up in the slums. He tried hard and eventually started working his butt off to get to where he is now over the years and years. And now he's also one of the world's best known motivational speakers. And he also has released some music too in his day. He like I said, he's come the hard way. There's nothing easy. Like he says, he gets up at 3 a.m. because while the world is asleep, he's out there building. And sometimes that's the attitude we all need to employ. I try my best to get up at 4 a.m. every day, get up and working towards my dream and working towards stuff working on this show and thinking about what can I say, what can I do to make this show better, how can I reach an audience more. And that's what gave me the idea to give you all the chance to share your stories under the comments in my social media accounts so that you can take the chance of getting your story heard on the air. Anyways, like Eric Thomas said, it's not the cards you were dealt, it's how you play them. And yesterday, I'm going to kind of switch from the quotes for a moment. Here's another thing. There's this really amazing song that I was listening to, and I thought I heard it all. And then this song, I couldn't relate to it more. It's by the band Sawyer Brown. It's a country band. And I'm a big fan of country, let me tell you. I know just about any and all, not the pop country we get today. I'm talking the country that we get back then. Anyways, this was a song by the Sawyer Brown band, and it's called They Don't Understand. And what I love about it is, you just, like he says, you never really know what your neighbor's going through. People are so quick and so caught up in their dreams so much that they don't look around and see how bad other people might have it too, and how hard other people are pushing, and how hard their family might be begging them for their time. You just, everybody's too caught up in their work and lives trying to make a dream come true that they don't look around and see what their neighbor's going through. It's kind of a sad song because, like, one scene talks, or before one verse he sings about the kids going crazy on the bus, and everybody's looking at the mother, and the mother's is embarrassed, and they're like, why would you let your kid act like this? Like, do you always let them act like this everywhere? And she's telling them, please forgive them. They don't know any better. And we just found out about their father's lost battle with mental health. So, like, you really don't understand. And, like, before the second verse, he talks about the old man on the interstate almost holding traffic up in one lane, and someone screams at him, I don't have all day. And you find out that his wife passed away and his kids don't even have the time to see him. Like, he's lost all of his power and energy to keep moving forward, and to, any of those things can break someone down. And we have to get out of our own heads and stop being so nose deep into our goals and our dreams that we don't see what other people are going through. Yes, it's granted, we deserve to go towards our dreams, and we deserve to have our aspirations and our goals, but we can't spend our whole lives completely focused on us. We have to give our time to other people. We do owe our time to family. We never know when the last time really is the last time. And we can't really judge someone else, no matter how inconvenient it may seem for you, or how judgy it sounds for you. I saw a post the other day of this boy who was taking a shower with a plastic bag full of water, and he poked a hole through the plastic bag. Water came coming out, and that was like his shower. And I see all these people in the comments laughing, and it kind of really shows a lot of ignorance to what could have been going on. Like, we only see one frame of the picture, but we don't see the whole story. Like, you don't know what could have happened. You never know if the water could have been shut off prior, like right after. You never know if they couldn't afford water. You don't know if they couldn't have, if he was struggling with his own mental health and he couldn't even get a real shower. It's sometimes, like, that's all the energy he really has. Like, we really need to think what they judge. But it's a really good song. It's called They Don't Understand by Sawyer Brown. I really recommend you listen to it. I feel like it deserves more attention than it has been given so far. It's something I think we'll all relate, even if whether you're country or not, it's almost a universal song. Like, the themes behind the song, it's all human. It's something everybody's faced, and if you haven't faced some sort of tragedy or some sort of letdown in your life, I can promise you this, you definitely will later on. I also recently, trying to work on improving my own life, I read this article I found in my emails one day, and it's talking about, the 8 habits that disciplined people carry. And I figured it would be worth talking about these 8 different habits on the air while I'm still up here. And what I've found out is, these people who, make discipline their vitamin, they'll always win in the long run, even if they delay that gratification now, they will always win in the long run when they keep at it. So, like I said, it's an amazing article. I don't remember where the website was that I took it from, but I'd still like to bring it up. I still feel like it's worth mentioning. And one of the first habits is they understand that discipline is not necessarily a sprint. It's not something you can rush through and expect your trophy or expect your rewards. It's more of a marathon. People, like I said, disciplined people don't go around seeking immediate gratuity. They know if it's going to happen, it's up to them. They know they're not going to be told and get handed their dream like a sprint on a silver platter. They know they're not going to get handed their dream on a silver platter and told, here's your dream, manifest it. They know if they're going to do it, it's up to them. They know they have hoops they have to flip through and hard times they have to face, and they know that they have people they might lose, and they know they have chances of losing the respect of some people. And they understand this, that it's not going to be a sprint, it's not going to be a picnic, but discipline is a marathon, and it's actually really necessary if you are going to work towards your dreams. One of the other things, or the second habit for disciplined people is they constantly pick structure over willpower. Routine is almost essential. If you learn to automate positive habits, you'll have more energy for the things you want to do, the dreams you want to achieve. You learn how to back away from you go into the bakery, you take one big whiff and you walk away and you say, that's one step towards my goal of weight loss and one big step away from massive calorie counts. So you have to understand that the more you establish routine, the less willpower you'll have to use over time. It may seem hard now, but everything's hard at first. So establish the routine and establish the positive habits, like planning your meals ahead of time, having a set amount of time where you study and you don't do anything else, having the set amount of time where you're doing this positive habit, or set the guaranteed amount of time where you're doing whatever, but anything that's better than just giving into bad habits. So if you establish the positive habits and you automate them, you'll have more energy for the things that you want to do. If you have more routine, that means there's less, you don't need as much self-control because you're already there. You'll be less likely to give in. You can also have a friend, talk with a friend, message a friend, to ask, to try and keep you held accountable, and maybe even remind you what you're doing all of what you're doing for, and tell you, think about the cost, consider the cost of what you're doing by giving into your willpower so quickly and giving into a bad habit. If you have someone there to remind you, then you'll understand why your routine is ever so important. So, just like I said, you also need that buddy that can help you. Like I said, we never really do everything entirely alone. Yes, you need to be independent to some degree, but I've said it before and I'll say it again, everyone's like the blind man needing to be led across the street. So sometimes we need a buddy to empower us, and we need a buddy to help us along the way. So structure over willpower. My third is, my third discipline habit is recognizing awareness. If we understand the impulses and the temptations without acting on them and creating that routine, it gives us the need to have less self-control over time. We understand the importance of sticking to our routine. If we understand the cost of giving in, we'll have more self-control over time. And it's just a thing of, the willpower and the self-control. So, if you understand your impulses without acting on them, and you observe your temptations, and you walk away from them and you don't give in to those bad habits, like I said, there'll be more self-control involved. One of the other things you need to do is protect your focus and your energy. This kind of talks about that importance of setting boundaries. And it's kind of like I said earlier, if you automate those positive habits, you'll have more energy for the dreams you want to achieve. The more routine means less self-control, but that also means you'll have more energy and more focus, and your focus and energy will be protected. So, again, number 4, protecting your focus and energy. Those who don't set boundaries struggle to understand others and their own. Do whatever you need to do to safeguard your time, energy, and focus. Say no to the partying on the late nights out, and spend time where you're working towards your goal while prioritizing your family and friendships. So, if you know something's important to you, and that you want this bad enough, sometimes you have to be willing to say no to the partying and the late nights out, willing to work on that dream of yours, because every time you don't spend, or every second that you don't spend working towards what you want, is a second that you could have had to do better. So, like I said, every second that you don't spend working towards your goal is the second you lost trying to do better. So, like I said, you also want to prioritize your family and your friendships, but don't go around spending your whole life out there going partying, getting those late nights and getting into those bad habits. You have to protect your focus and protect your energy, especially if you know you want it bad enough. If you keep giving in, then clearly you don't want the dream bad enough, and I don't believe that's true. I believe if you want it bad enough, it'll come. You might not choose your dreams, but your dreams choose you, and they will chastise you at your deathbed. Your dreams will sit there by your bedside and say, "We came to you, and only you could have given us life, and we must die with you." So I'm telling you, you'll have all the time to sleep. You'll have all that time to sleep, and you'll have all the time to rest when you're gone, and you'll have all the time to sleep and rest on those weekends when you really, really need it after working hard that whole week towards what you want to do. So, again, say no to the partying and late nights out, and spend time where you know you're working towards your goal while prioritizing family and friendships. Protect your time, your energy, and focus. Those who don't set boundaries for their own sake also struggle to understand others and their own boundaries, and they don't even know their own boundaries if they can't even set them, right? But those who don't understand boundaries struggles to understand and respect others' boundaries and tend to cross over others' boundaries. So do whatever you need. Do whatever is necessary to safeguard your time, your energy, and your focus. Again, do whatever you need to safeguard your time, your energy, and your focus. My next habit, number 5, for disciplined people is to embrace discomfort. Going through, like I said, those hoops that you flip through, those are the hoops of discomfort. Those are the hoops of the hard times. You're going to have to get through those hoops if you're ever going to make it toward your goals and your dreams and your aspirations. So discomfort provides growth. Again, discomfort provides growth. Smooth seas have never made a skilled sailor. Instead of avoiding challenging situations like negative impacts, tough grinds, and the stresses of everyday life and the pains of trying to sit there and stay focused in your studying, maybe you should lean into them as they will slowly build resistance, and it will slowly pay off. The time will pay off. It's never wasted time. Discipline is strengthened through discomfort. You have to understand, like I said, you have to understand that these are the hoops you have to go through. Like in the Rocky, they talk about going the distance. So sometimes you need to go the distance too, like they did in that movie Rocky. Anyways, like I said, discipline is strengthened through discomfort, and discomfort provides growth. It's a catalyst. So embrace the discomfort. I know all the discomfort that I go through towards working towards my dreams, and all the rejections and the no's and the hard times that I hit. These are all just the hoops. Each no that I face and every rejection that I face is just a mile marker towards the yes, because I know there will be a yes out there somewhere for what it is I want to do. I try to see everything I do in my classes and all my reading as all something serves some purpose towards what I want to do. And I feel like if I relate the hard stuff that I'm doing to what it is that I ultimately want to achieve, I think that'll also give me a purpose for doing those things nobody wants to do. In order to do the things, or in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have, you must be willing to do the things today others won't do. So, like I said, embrace discomfort. It's a catalyst for growth. Discipline is strengthened through discomfort. Number 6 of the disciplined people is they delay gratification. They understand their time will come. They understand it may not be today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year, but it will come, and it will be worth it. They understand, I've heard one of these sayings, the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. Like I've said, kind of like what I mentioned before earlier in this hour. And, Eric Thomas said, are you become a victor, or are you going to become a victim? Are you going to get that? Are you going to show that victim mentality? Are you going to go through life being a victim, or are you going to get up and you're going to start learning how to be a victor? Are you going to sit there and cry and whine and moan over what happened and who did what? You sit there and go around blaming other people, whether it was their fault or not. You don't realize it, but you're giving them the power over your life. So sometimes you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say that it was your fault as well for letting this happen to you, for letting somebody shoot you down. Because like I said, the more you give them credit, the more power you're giving them over your lives. And, delaying that immediate pleasure, like I said before, allows for greater rewards in the future, no matter how long the struggle lasts. Sometimes, when the struggles last so long and we feel like giving up, you never know how close you really could be to striking diamonds or striking your moment. So you don't, please, I beg you, don't give up, and understand that your time will come no matter how long it takes. Our time will come at the time it was meant to come. It's all purpose. I feel like God has it laid out for us just fine. He's just, all these problems and all these hard times that we're going through, they're just, they're everything we deal with, all these issues, God just has them miraculously disguised as challenges and miraculously disguised as stepping stones towards our dream. He knows what we want. He's probably, I'd say, the only one who knows what we want more than we know what we want. So, again, understand your time will come. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, but it will come and it'll be worth it. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. Number 7 of the disciplined people, they understand the purpose. They understand the importance of progress over perfection. Disciplined people know they aren't perfect. They know they might break a rule. They know they might, wind up sleeping in. They know they might end up falling through on their own plans. And, they understand that they're not perfect, but they also understand that work in that growth and progress and continuously working on themselves is a must. You have to work on yourself. So you're not perfect. That's the first step into fixing yourself, is understanding you're not perfect. But you keep working on yourselves. The disciplined people don't believe if it isn't broke, don't fix it. The disciplined people believe that if it's not perfect, then they keep working on it. You don't sit there, with that perfectionism mindset. Because, the inevitable slip-ups and blows you will take will, dismantle what it is you want to do, and you'll immediately lose faith in what you want to do. So, you'll give up almost instantly with that perfectionism mindset. But if you have the progress mindset, you'll understand that you messed up, but you can always try to do and be better than you were yesterday. Always try to do more and be more and be the better person than you were yesterday. And the final, number 8, have a disciplined people, is they align their actions with core beliefs. They learn, if you don't know your core values, then maybe you should start learning them, because they are there, whether you know it or not. When you learn your core beliefs, you align what you do with what matters most. Like I've said earlier, all the studying and schoolwork I do goes towards fueling my dream. Everything is a catalyst towards my dream. I relate it towards what it is I want to do. It helps me understand why this is so important, that I must go through this hoop, why I must flip through this hoop. I know everything I work hard on towards my dream is never wasted time or effort, even if it's a failure now. I understand that everything I do brings me one step closer to what I want. Every no is a no closer to the yes. Failure is a stepping stone, not a wall. It's an event, not a person. I was listening to a speech Denzel Washington gave to a university in Pennsylvania. And again, this is another little speech I encourage you to check on YouTube. Anyways, Denzel Washington, he said, everybody, the actor, the amazing actor, I love his work. He said, you're gonna fail and you're gonna slip up at some point. It's bound to happen. There's gonna be some embarrassing moment. There's gonna be something that you wish you didn't have to experience. But it's all a stepping stone. And even he mentions Les Brown when he talks about those dreams standing by your bed and dying with you. So understand that every no is a mile marker. Every no is a no closer to a yes. Failure is a stepping stone, not a wall. Zig Ziglar said failure is not an event, but it is a person. So learn your core values if you don't know them. And use your core values and to help you flip through those hoops and do the hard things nobody wants to do. In order to have the things tomorrow others won't have, you must be willing to do the things today that others aren't willing to do. So anyways, those are kind of the habits that I've learned. So if I want to go through it briefly, on discipline is a marathon, not a sprint. Number 2, structure over willpower. 3, recognize awareness. Number 4, protect your focus and energy. Number 5, embrace discomfort. Number 6, delay gratification. Number 7, put progress over perfection. Know that you aren't perfect. Number 8, align your actions with your core beliefs. So, anyways, to move on. So, like I said before, if people are telling you you're too ambitious, you tell them that the real problem in this world is become a lack of ambition, and I kind of see it everywhere. I kind of see it in everything that goes on, through the social media and whatnot, which is part of why I've left social media for the most part, unless I'm trying to post. Unless I'm making my own post or I'm talking with my own family. For the most part, I've left social media because I can see that there's a lack of ambition. There's a lack of, I see a lack of hope. I see so much negativity. So, the real problem really is the lack of ambition. The world is so negative that any positivity is seen as a threat to that threshold. So, and the other things people tell you is when people say what you're doing is too hard or too complex, what you do is you say, well, I didn't do it to be simple. Hard times and discipline teach triumph over both. Again, hard times and discipline teach triumph over both. So remember, when people tell you you're too ambitious, say the real problem is the lack of ambition. When people say what you're doing is too hard and complex, say I didn't do it to be simple. Embrace the no. Like Les Brown said through his mentor, Mr. Leroy Washington, make no your vitamin. Each no is a mile marker, and not only is it a mile marker towards your dream, and every no is a no towards a yes, but it's a catalyst of for what you've been through. It shows the resilience that you have. If you survive those odds and you make it through those odds to hit your dream, you can get through just about anything. Each one or each no that you face is a mile marker of what you've been through, and each one will give you more momentum to keep pushing forward, and that momentum will get you through the hard times. Believe me, I've lived it. I know this. Also understand, I believe I was just mentioning this earlier when I was mentioning the social media being a kind of an area for negativity. Like, I feel like it's kind of become a catalyst for negativity and arguments and division rather than unification as it was so proposed to be used for in the first place. I feel like it's come a place for arguments, and what I think really the issue is among everybody is the lack of understanding in the circumstances they grew up in. So, of course we're going to have negative views, but what I've seen in all the comment sections of all the posts that I read every day is there's a lack of understanding in different circumstances, and people start becoming belligerent and disrespectful, and it shows in their attitudes. Like I've said before, it's not garbage in, garbage out, it's garbage in, garbage stays. You put your garbage out there on the internet and you start talking disrespectful, what you put on there is there for everybody to see. You are not, it's a reflection of you. People will always remember you for the worst thing you've done or the worst thing you've said. So, like I said, you should, I'm not saying never use social media or never communicate and talk with those people, but if you're going to use it to encourage unification, not division. And use it respectfully, because there's certain words you can't take back, especially if they're in print. If you're angry with somebody, think about what you say before you start saying it, because once you say it, you can't take it back, especially if it's in print. And if you're going to use it, I use it to listen to something positive. I listen to my music. I even have a playlist of music that I listen to specifically for hard times. That keeps me going. I use it to listen to the speeches. I use it to listen to, moments of positivity. I even watch cat videos on it. Like, there you go. That's another thing you can watch, or puppies or whatever. But anyways, whatever you do, don't use your time on social media negatively. If you're going to go on there, don't doom scroll on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube Shorts and Reels and whatever. And don't, what I've come to realize is many of the bots or many of the posts on Facebook are really bot posts. There aren't real people posting many of these posts. And what they do is they tend to posts that are intentionally politicized and deliberately designed to cause chaos and disagreement between people because it gives them traffic and it gives Facebook money. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Don't doom scroll and don't give those bot posts or bot comments any attention. Ignore the post, the political post, because many are just there to spark chaos and arguments and hate. And half the times, most of this stuff isn't real. And it's becoming harder to tell now with artificial intelligence. So, discard it unless it's proven otherwise, unless it's been verified otherwise. All these posts, whether they're by real people or not, are just there to spark chaos and hate, especially when they're politicized. So again, don't give in. Just gives chaos and hate. And hate, honestly, I don't know what hate has never solved. If anything, the times that I've seen hate in history, all that's done was prolong it and just lead to a pattern of history repeating itself. So hate just leads to further tensions, further, lacks. You feel like a lack of qualification, and it winds up leading to stress for everybody, and it just leads to even worse times down the road. Please, just don't use hate. Don't be hateful, please. Use this as a moment for positivity. Use it for unification, and because if you use it wrong, it becomes an impairment on your physical and mental health. I really do believe that there is such a thing as, depression through social media. And especially I've seen it all around. I've seen it in kids. I've seen it in adults. Use it if you're going to use it right. Anyways. And what I've learned too, that further proves my point in my first show, was talking about you're sitting here watching all these other people live their lives on TV. You're sitting there and you're sitting there doing nothing with your life. So are you sitting there watching other people live their lives, or are you living your own? You have to. I've learned a saying a while back that sitting is the new smoking. I mean, sitting for extended periods of time really is bad for you. You have to learn to get up and go out there and do what it is you want to do. Encourage people to stop sitting and watching others live their lives and start getting up and living theirs. Their arteries, their muscles, their physical, mental health, and their soul will thank them later. You have to break out that sedentary lifestyle. So like I said before, setting has become the new form of smoking. It slowly kills you over time. It might as well be suicide, but it's doing it slower. So, don't sit there. Go out there. Don't sit there feeling sorry for yourself. Go out there and do something. Put that negative. If you're ever feeling negative, turn that negative energy to something positive. If you're ever feeling negative, sometimes what you have to do is take your mind off of it and go out there and do something for somebody else. Not only does it boost your self-esteem, but it helps other people. Whatever it is you want to do, you're operating at the soup kitchen or going down to help out the homeless and whatever it is, or if you're going to go out there and mow someone else's yard for them, do whatever you can during those hard times to put that negative energy to good use, because there's really no chance getting it back. Yes, energy cannot be created or energy cannot be destroyed according to those laws, but that's also wasted time that you could have used better. So please don't channel your negative energy through something positive. Find some good habits, even if it's just something as simple as calling someone on the phone. One of the other habits that this is a speech that my boss Sheila at Scratch Biscuit shown me a while back, or it's really powerful speech. She was only able to find the short version for me, but I was able to find the longer version, and it's probably one of the most well-known speeches in history, honestly. And it's by the Admiral William McRaven, who wrote the book Make Your Bed, and he was a Navy SEAL for over 30 years, and the instructors he had at the time were all Vietnam War veterans. And he said his most famous saying is, if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. And I encourage other people to look up this speech on YouTube. Like, it's almost a world famous speech, honestly, if not nationally known. I encourage you, look up William McRaven's speech called Make Your Bed. And he kind of has he has his little thing of 10 habits for if you want to change the world. If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. That's number one. And number two, help find someone to help you paddle. Nobody's going to get through this. Nobody's going to get through this alone. We all got to die to get out of here. We are all like that blind man trying to get led across the street. We need somebody to help us paddle. We need someone to get us through those tough times. We need someone to help us channel that negative energy that we start feeling. The other thing, the third thing, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. Don't underestimate people. You don't know what they're going through. You may see them as small, you may see them as insignificant, but their size of their heart is much bigger than what they really are, believe me. So, you don't measure a person by the size of don't measure a person by the size of their flippers, but measure a person by the size of their heart, because their heart is what matters more than anything. If they don't have the heart to do something, they're not going to help you. So measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers, as he says. You have to keep, number 4, you must keep moving forward, even knowing when it's not fair, or when life isn't fair. Life isn't fair. Sometimes it's incredibly cruel. We understand this. M. Scott Peck in The Road Less Traveled said life is difficult. This is a truth that many of us have come to understand. So understand that you keep moving forward, knowing that life is not fair, even when you have to do those hard things that nobody wants to do. And all those late nights and early mornings that you spend will slowly build resiliency. All those no's are no's closer to yeses, and all those no's are mark in a declaration to how strong and how resilient and how far you've gone, and how powerful you can really be, and how much of an influence you can have on somebody. Everybody has an impact. Transference is inevitable. Number 5, you will fail. You will likely fail often, and you need to accept this as part of your life. I've said before what Denzel Washington said in his Pennsylvania speech. He said, we're all going to face some sort of embarrassment. It's inevitable. Failure is inevitable. We just need to learn how to channel that positively throughout our lives. Sometimes you have to slide the obstacles head first. Number 6, you have to slide the obstacles head first. Sometimes the fastest and best paths forward sometimes require some courage and unconventional thinking. If you try to go with feet first, you're staying cautious, and if you stay cautious for too long, this delays growth, and you'll miss the opportunities you wouldn't have had. Sometimes you have to go through, sometimes people, you have to walk less by sight and walk more by faith. And faith comes through hearing and hearing and hearing. So if you slide the obstacles head first and understand sometimes the unconventional thinking is often the best. Sometimes you're naive. If you really don't know what isn't possible for you. Sometimes you have to use your naivety if you're naive, something you should use that to your extent, and understand that sometimes the unconventional thinking and just going through it and having the courage, sliding through the obstacles head first, will be better off. Because if you remain cautious, being cautious too long will delay growth, and you'll miss opportunities. Number 7, his advice is don't back down from the sharks. And the sharks are the sharks of rejection and setbacks and failures and defeats, and being told no again and again and again, and having having people walk away, or having people walk away from supporting you. Those are the sharks that you face. But in those times when you're not backing down from the sharks, you also learn who your people are. You also learn who true people are, who are there for you. When you hit a hard time, you find out who really cares about you and who really doesn't, and it shows through who talks to you and who communicates versus who only talks to you when you need something, and who walks away, and who makes you feel like your time isn't valuable and who only talks about themselves. So like if you find out you're having these habits, you need to check it yourself. Are you dominating the conversation when someone's trying to go through a hard time? Are you saying enough about you? Let's talk about me. You have to check yourself. I believe everybody's capable of some sort of change. I don't believe that people are always as they are and their true colors just show over time. I mean, I really do believe there's a chance for change, even if it takes that hard wake-up call to make it happen. So again, don't back down from the sharks, please. Number 8, you need to learn to step up when the times are the toughest. You must be the very best in the toughest and darkest of moments, because, like I said, this is where the growth takes place. You must be willing to do the things today that others won't do in order to have things tomorrow that others don't have. You have to be willing to step up to the plate. These are the opportunities of a lifetime. Honestly, you understand that you take the risk of embarrassment, but maybe if if there's a chance of embarrassment, make it a moment of positivity. It's like, I may have collapsed on stage giving my speech because I was so nervous and anxious, but at least I get my check and the people got a good laugh out of it. So, try to find some positivity. Be your very best in the toughest of moments, because that's where you will be expected to channel your energy. And one of the other things I've noticed, number 9 is, start singing when you are up to your neck in mud. Good music never fails. During those hard times, finding the positive ways to channel your energy, and eventually that the mud will wear away from you. And the positivity, just as often as negativity can be used to repel the positives, the positive energy can also repel the negative energy. You find good use of your time and you channel your negative energy in a positive way. I do believe that your positive impact will start to take place. So start singing when you are up to your neck in mud. Good music never fails. Number 10, never ever give up. Understand life is not fair and you will fail often. Understand it is incredibly cruel, but also understand that you'll never know how close you really are to striking gold. You never, I'm going to emphasize this again, never give up. Please don't. You don't want to sit there spending the rest of your life wondering, what if you kept sitting there saying, why is this happening to me, or why me? Then here's what I say. Who else do you suggest? Who else do you suggest? If not you, who else? If you don't want to do it now, when? If not now, when? If not you, who? It's just something you have to understand. And, it's like, Again, I really encourage you to kind of listen to the speech. It's a powerful speech. Look up Admiral McRaven's speech on YouTube, and look up that song I mentioned before, They Don't Understand. They're all amazing work. And I encourage you to listen to Eric Thomas speeches on YouTube and Les Brown's speeches on YouTube, especially his famous ones is called "It's Not Over Until I Win." So again. If I could get out of struts, anyone else can get out of struts. You have to understand the importance of changing up and shaping up and doing those things nobody wants to do, having those things nobody else will have. If in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have, you must be willing to do the things today that others won't do. Some of the other things I do, I encourage you to get help and use those resources. Over here on Roanoke College, we have our tutoring, we have our timely care, we have counseling, we have the Aspire program. It's not just for people on a spectrum, it's for anybody who needs help, because we all do. The peer mentoring program, there are so many resources at your disposal that you really don't know about. So I really do encourage you to use it. Use everything you can to your advantage. And if you don't know about these resources, all you have to do is go around and ask, or better yet, that thing that you're scrolling on every day, look it up. You don't know. You really don't know. So it's up to you to figure it out. God helps those who help themselves. So if you don't know, look it up, figure it out. And anyways, as we're closing in at the end of the show, there are a few things I still wanted to mention again. I figured it'd be best to recite that Burton Braley affirmation. So here we go. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it and life seems useless and worthless without it, if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, if you simply go after that thing you want with all your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold, poverty, famine, nor gout, sickness, nor pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it with the help of God, you will get it. So again, I also encourage listeners, get in touch to comment or suggest topic ideas through our email address, radio@roanoke.edu, or through the WRKE Facebook page. And, I want to celebrate, I want to congratulate WRKE for being on the air for 20 years and giving you ad-free music. That's WRKE 100.3. So, again, I encourage you to follow my social media profiles. They're there to empower, not divide. And through my Instagram account, you'll find me through my name, Anakin Heidrich. That's ANAKYNHEIDRICH. Again, ANAKYNHEIDRICH. You also find me on Instagram as the coolest pet in town. On Facebook, you'll find me through my first and last name, ANAKYNHEIDRICH. On YouTube, you'll also find me through the coolest pet in town. I also encourage you, if there's some story that you feel is worth sharing, like whether you're in the middle of that struggle or you've accomplished that and you feel others need to hear that and you feel your story deserves to be shared, because everybody's story deserves to be shared. If you feel that you want to send your story and get that guarantee of getting your story told on the air on my show each Saturday, then go ahead, reach me on those social media profiles through YouTube and Instagram under the coolest pet in town, and Instagram and Facebook under Anakin Heidrich. You can reach me by commenting your stories on any of my posts online. I will get the notifications. I will know. But you also need to understand that the stories that you tell me, you understand that they will be on the air and they will remain on the audio files when finished. You assume this risk. You can also be a co-host, but there are forms that you have to fill out. If you want to do this, you have to reach radio@roanoke.edu to be a host. Again, to be a co-host, go to radio@roanoke.edu. Email them. They will tell you everything you need to know. Go to Rick Mantione. And, like I said, visit those social media pages and, comment the story, and, I guarantee you'll be told sooner or later. Feel free to give it a follow. Feel free to subscribe and of course, I definitely encourage you to spread the words. But no, to sum up what McRaven said, remember, if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. Number 2, find someone to help you paddle. Number 3, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. Number 4, keep moving forward knowing that life is not fair. Number 5, you will fail. You will likely fail often. Accept it as part of your life. Number 6, slide the obstacle head first. Number 7, don't back down from the sharks. Number 8, step up when times are the toughest. You must be your very best in the toughest of moments. Number 9, start singing when you are up to your neck in mud. Number 10, never give up. For the discipline habits. Discipline is a marathon, not a sprint. Number 2, structure over willpower. Number 3, recognize your awareness. Number 4, protect your focus and energy. Number 5, embrace that discomfort. Number 6, delay instant gratification. Number 7, progress over perfection. Number 8, align actions with core beliefs. Anyways, this is the Heidrich Motivational Hour, and I thank you all for watching. You are listening to WRKE 100.3 LPFM, Salem, streaming live online at WRKE.org. And on the TuneIn app, just search for WRKE. Be sure to catch me Saturdays from 8 to 9 a.m. on Eastern Time in the Salem, Roanoke area. Go on to WRKE.org to also listen to this show and other shows. Thank you very much, and goodbye.